y'all, it's your boy Gold Phoenix in the flesh. Rise from the ashes and be blessed. Listen up, I wear this hoodie a lot, don't judge me. Anyway, I am in Billings, Montana. I'm going east. I got this multi-stop load. It's a banger, ain't mad at it. Picked it up out of just north of Seattle over in Mount Vernon. First drop, Minneapolis, Minnesota. Second drop, Chicago, Illinois. I just finished my shift. My student just went inside to go grab some coffee, get himself situated and all that. And I figured I'd take the opportunity to talk a little bit about something that came across my mind while I was extremely hyper off of caffeine. I'm crashing really hard right now. If you can't tell, I'm about to pass out. But anyway, question is, do I really trust my dispatcher, fleet manager, DM, whatever you want to call them? Do I really trust this man? And I'm sure I'm not the only person who has thought about it. Maybe I am. Who knows? Do I trust him? And to be honest with you, it's kind of a double-edged sword. Because I do, but I don't. See what I'm saying? Let me explain. I'll elaborate. I trust him to be a dispatcher. Meaning, I trust him to find loads. I trust him to get them off of his board. I trust him to find another load once the load I was assigned is delivered. Right? But that's the extent. You see, I will never trust him to actually have my best interest in mind. I trust him to look out for himself and do what benefits him and the company, but not necessarily me. And that's not to say that he's screwing me over or anything like that. No, he's actually doing well. I'd say he's done well in the past few years I've worked with him. He's done well a good, I want to say about 90% of the time, if not high 80s. You know what I'm saying? I make money with this guy. That's why I haven't replaced him. That's why I have no intention of replacing him, per se. But there has been a few instances where he has, messed with me a little bit. And to be honest, who could blame him? Because, I was new at one point and I didn't necessarily know better. So I was, maybe going to areas that wouldn't be advantageous to me. Taking loads that didn't pay as much as they probably should to justify going to specific areas. That kind of deal. Now, a few years later, I know a little bit more, so I know when to say no. You know what I'm saying? And I would tell anybody, especially if you come to a company like where I'm at. Some of you guys know where I am, some of y'all don't. It is what it is. I would suggest that first year, even if it isn't your first year leasing or driving, if it's your first year leasing or owner-operating or whatever, who cares what you do? I suggest taking pretty much every load they send you for like a year. basically what I'm saying is learn what areas are prime for production. There's this thing called production states. There's this other thing called consumer states. Perfect example. Florida